While it's amazing to see the Carolina Hurricanes beat the Boston Bruins 4-1 on Tuesday night in Boston, Seth Jarvis with a milestone moment, scoring his 30th goal of the season for the Carolina Hurricanes. That and much more on a Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes.
Your Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Zach Martin. Thank you, every dayer, for making this your first listen of the day. Really been appreciating all of the responses on YouTube and just the overall support. It's been really amazing for the first week of being on the helm of this show. So thank you for just everything you guys have been doing lately. If you aren't a everydayer and you want to become an everydayer, make sure to go over to the YouTube channel if you are only listening on the audio version, or if you're on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe, like the video, and hit the bell, and share with all your friends and let them become an everydayer just like you when it comes to everything Locked On Hurricanes. So on today's edition of the show, we're going to talk about Seth Jarvis hit with a career milestone, hitting his 30th goal of the season for the Hurricanes. Also talk about that same game for the Hurricanes where they got their 50th win of the 2023-24 season. And the Hurricanes signed another forward from the NCAA, and Jackson Blake from the University of North Dakota. But before we get into any of that stuff, we got to talk about today's sponsor, which is Indeed. Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Terms and conditions apply. So, like I said, Seth Jarvis with a monumental night against the Boston Bruins. The fact he scored his 30th goal of the season, which is the first time he's ever done that. The most he's had was somewhere like not even 20 goals with the Hurricanes. And for being his third season with the team and being able to, take an early career where he's gotten 40 points his rookie year, 39 in his second season with the team, and just in his third year, like we talked about the other day, is the fact that he's already pushing close to 70 points, which is what you love to see him for. The fact that he's gotten a career high numbers in goals, assists, and points, and the fact that he hit 30 goals for the first time ever in his third season, which is remarkable for the fact that you're looking at the fact that it's a contract year for the guy where he's pushing himself to want to get a contract that he really wants, and in the fact that it's just how amazing it's been for him being able to do what he's done for the Hurricanes this year. And it begs the question, like we talked about on the episode where we were going over the Jeff Merrick and Elliot Friedman discussions of what's the team going to do with this upcoming offseason, and the fact that Seth Jarvis is having a career year is something that is really remarkable. And like I said, does it make you go give him a bridge, or do you go and give him the long-term contract? But just for the fact that he's done this and the way he's had, where he's, played first line earlier this season with Sebastian Aho, and then, they've sprinkled in late Michael Bunting, Andrei Svechnikov, Teuvo Teravainen at some points. Now they've had Jake Gensel for the last dozen or so games, and that line's been absolutely just supernova hot. And even at one point, even went down to the third line to play with Jordan Martinook and Jordan Staal, and still was producing points and still getting goals. Like, he was on a 5 or 6 game goal streak at one point. And it goes to show that the Hurricanes really lucked out, and they really chose the right guy as the 13th overall pick in the 2020 NHL entry draft. And the fact that he's a fan favorite, the guys love him. He's He's got an interesting personality, which, I mean, you love to see it. Other than the fact that he's a Duke fan, which is, it is what it is, especially for people in the triangle. No, basketball allegiances are such a huge thing when it comes to NC State, North Carolina, and Duke, but all in good fun, though. It's just, you love to see it for a guy who's 22, loved by the fans. He's just a walking soundbite, and it's good to see that the league is seeing him for who he is, and the fact that he's been making a lot of rounds on other podcasts, network shows and stuff like that. And you just love to see him being able to be himself and be the guy that the Hurricanes were hoping he would be in terms of scoring, because you saw it, when he was with the Portland Winterhawks in the WHL, and he's easily carried that over, showed why he deserved to stay after that 10-game, tryout. His rookie season, stayed, had a 40-point season, might have had a little bit of a down year sophomore year for 30, still at 39 points, but then coming into this season is just on absolute fire. Is something that you cannot be any more proud of this guy. And even, Rod Brind'Amour even said he does everything that we ask him to do. He just keeps getting better. Future is definitely bright for him. And that's just something you love to see out of a guy like Rod Brind'Amour, being the fact that it's just, he wants Seth Jarvis to be that guy. He wants him to succeed. And he's done that and more. Like, you've seen Seth Jarvis turn himself into someone that, Rod Brind'Amour uses on the PK situations, power plays, offensive zone, defensive zone, like doing face-offs. Like, it's just anything you ask of Seth Jarvis to do, and he's done it. His 200-foot game has gotten so much better. And I think that's kind of what contributed to maybe a less of a season last year for 22-23, where you saw his production numbers go down, but you saw the development of his 200-foot game get better. And maybe that's why maybe some people think, oh, well, it's a down year. He had a sophomore slump. It is what it is. The league figured him out. Who's to say that Seth Jarvis was just getting his 200-foot game better? And he even said it himself. He's like, yeah, I kind of focus more on my defensive style of my game, and you can kind of see that, and even this year, like his hustle of getting back on the back check, his forechecking is great for the size that he is, and the fact that he's still throwing hits, he's throwing his body around, he doesn't get bullied by anyone in the league. He stands up for himself, and just being able to. And he even said it, last offseason, after getting eliminated from the playoffs, he's like, he wants to be a better hockey player. He wants to be better mentally and physically. And he went and gained like 10, 15 pounds of muscle in the offseason. Of course, that's what helps when, you're over, hanging out at Brent Burns' house for most of the offseason. And you see how he plays hockey. He plays a 200-foot game as he plays a physical game, but he's got the wheels. He's a fast winger. And that's why he's so dangerous. Even like when he scored that goal, against the Boston Bruins, which was short-handed, the fact that he blew by the defenseman, put the puck on net against Jeremy Swayman, picked up the rebound, and scored backhanded on the other side of the net, all in one motion. It just goes to show that the skill set that Seth Jarvis has is what something that the Hurricanes love. And I think that's why there's no chance that they don't keep him. Like, it's a guarantee he's going to stay with the Canes. It's just what type of contract it's going to be. And I wouldn't be surprised if he stays with Carolina for his whole career, because to get a guy like Seth Jarvis, for the fact of the trajectory he's on, where he's gone from 40 to 39 to pushing 70 points in his first 3 seasons in the league, is absolutely phenomenal. He's already hit 30 goals. There's a chance, like, I don't know if he's going to hit 35. He could hit 35. It's very possible with 3 games left. St. Louis on Friday. You got Chicago on Saturday, and then it's the Columbus Blue Jackets on Tuesday. Who's to say he couldn't get 5 goals in 3 games and hit 35 goals on the year? Who says he can't do that? I think it's very, very possible that he could do that. And even when they asked Seth Jarvis about reaching the 3rd goal mark for the first time in his career, to hit 30 goals means a lot to me. To do it in a place like this means even more. I've got a lot of people in my corner, and it means a lot more for them, which goes back to the whole why, just the fact that the Hurricanes took a shot on him, they kept him around, and he's done what he's done. And it's absolutely great to see. And for the fact that Seth has done it in a place where he's, welcomed by the team. He's best friends with Jesperi Kotkaniemi, almost all the Finns, the Jordans, Jack Drury. It almost seems like every guy on the team likes Seth, and it's like, and he's, Seth likes hanging out with Brent Burns and his kids. It's just, it goes to show that the culture that this team has, and for the fact of a guy like Seth to just thrive, especially in year 3, is something that it's great to see. And it's all you can really ask for in terms of just keeping on just being him and being the player that he is, and just the fact that he's gotten so much better over that time as well. And a funny stat that I saw, and guy gave credit to Kane Stats Brand on Twitter. The Hurricanes are 46, 3-4 in the regular season games when Seth Jarvis scores a goal. I mean, 46 wins, 3 losses, and 4 overtime losses or shootout losses when he scores a goal is absolutely mind-blowing of just how just insane that type of stat line is. So where he scores a goal, it's almost guaranteed the Hurricanes win. I mean, the fact you're looking at 53 games, and in 53 games that he scored a goal, they've won 46 of them. I don't know any other stat you can think of that can just say, just like, what more can you say about a guy like Seth Jarvis where he scores a goal? It's magical. Score shorthanded goals. We've known that did against Boston. He did it on Cam Ward night where he scored a hat trick, and his hat trick goal was on a shorthander. He scores power play goals. Like this year alone, I think he's up to like 10 power play goals, or dang near close to it. I think he's got 9, if I'm not mistaken. That's the best he's ever had. So he can score on the power play, scores on the penalty kill, scores even strength. Pucks on net, it just goes in the goal. And that's all you can really ask for of a guy like Seth Jarvis, and that's why he's got 30. And I wouldn't be surprised if he hits 35. And then Hannah Yates, the team working for Bally Sports, she even asked Seth Jarvis about just how important the game was to him and for the Hurricanes. He said it was huge. We knew coming in we were only a couple points behind them, talking about the Rangers and also talking about the Bruins in terms of the President's Trophy. So it was a little bit more on the table for us. And it just means how much the win tonight against Boston meant for the Hurricanes, for the fact that, yeah, they're within striking distance of catching the President's Trophy, and that's what's kind of really in the cards for the team right now. Yeah, you still go to get to the division for the Metro with the Rangers, but you're also talking about a potential, winning the Presidents, getting that first overall seed in the East, and that makes a huge implications for the playoffs too. So a lot of great things to see, and you'd love to see that for Seth Jarvis. So with the win against Boston on Tuesday night, it was another big milestone for the Hurricanes. We will talk about that and more here on a Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Eat stress-free this spring with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including popular options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veggie. Also discover more than 60 add-ons every week, like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, and beverages to help you stay fueled and feel good all day long. What are you waiting for? Get started today and fuel up with your springtime goals. Get chef-prepared meals on the table in 2 minutes with Factor's ready-to-eat meals, so you can get back to doing what you love this spring. Looking for gourmet meals? Try meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, truffle butter, broccolini, and asparagus. No fuss, no missed meals. Factor meals eliminate the hassle of prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Simply heat and savor the good stuff. Tailor to your schedule, customize your weekly meals with flexibility to get as much or as little as you need. Pause or reschedule deliveries to suit your lifestyle. Factor is your solution for fast, premium meals without the need for cooking. We're celebrating Earth Day all month long. Look out for the Earth Month Eats badge on the menu for our lowest carbon footprint meals. Head to factormeals.com/lockedonnhl50 and use code LOCKEDONNHL50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box. That's code LOCKEDONNHL50 at factormeals.com/lockedonnhl50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box while your subscription is active. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, the Thursday edition of the show, your team every day. So kind of teased it at the end of the first segment, talking about how another big milestone game for the Carolina Hurricanes, and the fact that it was their 50th win of the season, which would actually make it their third consecutive 50-win season for the Carolina Hurricanes. And it's very interesting when you look at the most consecutive 50-win seasons in NHL history, and the fact that the Hurricanes joined an interesting list that includes the Philadelphia Flyers from 1973-74 through 75-76, who also got 3 consecutive 50-win seasons. And ahead of them, which is a 3-way tie for 4 consecutive seasons, is the Detroit Red Wings of 2005-06 to 08-09. The 75-76 Montreal Canadiens, which also ended in 78-79, and then the 70-71 Boston Bruins to 73-74. So a great list for the Hurricanes to join an exclusive club of teams that have consecutively gone for 50 wins in as many seasons. The fact that they're already at 3, who's to say they can't get 4 and tie the record, which is a lot of these teams, you're talking like the 70s, mid to late 70s, even early 70s too. You're talking about the Boston Bruins, like you're in the time where there wasn't a lot of teams, the league was very, very different in the 70s, where you could see, these dynasty teams, and the fact that you're just talking not that far off the expansion where you go from the original 6 to 12 teams in the league. And that's where you can see teams getting 50 wins consecutively. And the only moderately, like, within this era of like the 2000s, 2010s, is the Detroit Red Wings of 2005-06 to 2008, 2009. Like, that's the only like current era-ish team to hit 50 wins on a season. And the fact that the Hurricanes are already 1 season shy of tying that is huge. You get your third one. And the fact you did against the Boston Bruins to win the season series against them, that's even a bigger accomplishment for the fact that you go into Boston. A lot's on the line for a President's Trophy. A lot's on the line for just maybe not even the President's Trophy, maybe just getting the first seed in the Eastern Conference to take on whoever the wild card 2 team is. To go and do it the way they did it, winning 4-1 off a great game from Pyotr Chekhov, like we talked about on yesterday's episode for Wednesday. And it's just, you win 4-1, do it in Boston, absolutely lights out on the penalty kill, great goaltending, and you get your 50th win. That right there is already guaranteeing you like 100 points just on those 50 wins. And now you're joining some elite companies of 70s hockey and a Detroit Red Wings team that started their streak the same year the Hurricanes won the Stanley Cup. And now you're 1 year shy of tying that record. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did it again, to be honest. If they run it back with the same team or whoever they bring in next year, who's to say that they couldn't do it again and get that 4th? I wouldn't be surprised if we get to the point where they could hit 5 in a row. They could go 5 seasons of 50-plus wins. Who knows? I mean, it's very possible. It's, it's going to be, we can't take it for granted because it's like, you can see it's not very common. Like, there's not, like, outside of the Hurricanes and the 05-06 Red Wings, there's not a lot of current era teams, within the last like 24 seasons, 25 years where you see a team get that many wins over a consecutive amount of time. And the fact that the Hurricanes did it is absolutely great. And if you're a Hurricanes fan, just enjoy it. Love getting these wins. That's 50 on a year. You'll take that any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I don't know who you are, but if you're not enjoying 50 wins on a season, I don't know what could get you excited. Because obviously the ultimate goal is to win the Stanley Cup and all that stuff. I get that, but just being able to see your team win 50 games in a season is something that can't get overlooked, and it's something that needs to be enjoyed and not taken for granted. So congratulations to the Canes on a big milestone moment. On the same night, like I said, Seth Jarvis gets his 30th goal of the season. The Hurricanes get their 50th win, and it's just something that you love to see in terms of just how this team has been under Rod Brind'Amour over the last 3 seasons to go back 50-win campaigns. And hopefully we get a 4th one next year for the 24-25 season and tie the record. And hopefully maybe 2 seasons from now, you're looking at 25-26, 5 seasons in a row with 50 wins at least. Who really knows? It's going to be very, very exciting for sure if you're a Carolina Hurricanes fan, of course, as the team as well, when you're trying to consistently hit that many wins in a season. So we're going to move on to the next segment, which is talking about another signing that the Hurricanes just made on Wednesday. But before we get to that, we have to do some other things real quick here in a minute on Locked On Hurricanes. When you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could handpick the best stars for your business team? If you're building your talent roster, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can find it all with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like matching, assessments, and virtual interviews. Hate waiting? Indeed's U.S. data shows over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job. Something I love about Indeed is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy because candidates you invite to apply through Instant Match are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in a search, according to U.S. Indeed data. Join over 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Again, that is Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. And the last bit of news we got to bring up, which is something that a lot of fans on social media have been really excited for the fact that the Hurricanes on Wednesday announced that they have signed forward Jackson Blake out of the University of North Dakota. The 2021 4th-round pick signed a 3-year entry-level deal contract with the Hurricanes, which is just – the Hurricanes have been on an absolute roll as of late with all these ELC signings that they've done. They got Scott Moore out of UMass. They got Bradley Nadeau out of Maine. And now you go get Jackson Blake out of the University of North Dakota, which is just getting those 3 guys alone. If you're a Hurricanes fan, you got to be super excited. You get one of your top-end defenseman prospects outside, Alexander Nikishin, who's been absolutely tearing it up in the KHL. But you get Scott Moore out of UMass. Like I said, you get Bradley Nadeau out of Maine, who had a fantastic freshman season. And now you go get the Hobey Baker finalist, and he was also the NCHC Player of the Year and Forward of the Year this season for North Dakota. Oh, and he also had a 60-point season. Yeah. The fact that you had Bradley Nadeau get 46 points with Maine, and now you go get Jackson Blake, who got 60 points with North Dakota, was a Hobie Baker finalist, and was a Player of the Year and Forward of the Year for the NCHC, is just absolutely like I don't know how much like you getting him is going to be so huge for the Hurricanes. Give him time to develop, and you let whenever those three come into the fold for the Hurricanes, you like the next young core is already off to a great start. Already off to a great start for the Hurricanes. And the fact that you're looking at what like last week and this week, you've signed those three guys in, Gleb Teres, you also got Gleb Tarasov. You also got, Juha Yaska as well. Like, and then it's just, you're looking at everyone else that they're hopefully trying to get in the pipeline too, but just getting Morrow, Nadeau, Blake, that's a great start for the next core. A great start for the next core. So for Jackson Blake, for his 3-year entry-level contract, he is going to receive $775,000 in the NHL level this season for 23-24. And then for the next 2 seasons, for between 2024-25 and then 25-26, he is set to make $832,500 in the NHL for the NHL level. But if you look at his American League or his AHL salary, it's going to be $80,000, which is for all 3 seasons. So including this year and the next 2 seasons, he is set to make $80,000. If he does play in the AHL, and of course, we could talk about his AHL, where it's $775 this season, and then the next 2 seasons are $832,500. And he's also got a signing bonus of $227,500. And like I talked about with I think it was the Bradley Nadeau and Scott Morrow signings, is the fact that since Blake wasn't on the AHL roster by the trade deadline, he's not eligible to go back. He's not eligible to go to the AHL this season. So most likely he's going to be like Morrow. He's going to be like Nadeau. He's probably going to be a black ace with the Hurricanes for the playoffs. You might see him possibly very late, like with probably maybe the Blackhawk game or the Blue Jackets games. If not, most likely he's going to be a black ace for the Hurricanes. But like I said, with Nadeau and Morrow, like getting those guys and then just getting them in the locker room with the Hurricanes, getting them with Rod Brind'Amour, Tim Gleason, depending on the position, and just being able to, strengthen condition with the team, being around the guys, Jordan Stahl, Martin, Jacob Slavin, Sebastian Aho, just being around those guys is going to be huge for them. Even if they're not playing, just being able to practice and travel with the team is a great experience for those guys and gives them a taste of what it's like in the NHL, just especially after the seasons that they had in college, either at UMass or Maine or North Dakota. Just getting those 3 guys together is going to be absolutely amazing. And then when asked about Jackson Blake, GM Don Waddell said, Jackson is an explosive playmaker who has played a key role in North Dakota's success over the past 2 seasons. Hockey is in his blood, and we can't wait to see how his game continues to grow at the next level. So you already got the GM really excited over the fact that how explosive he's been. And then, like I said, for the fact that he had a 60-point season and was a Hobie Baker finalist for the, it just goes to show how good Jackson Blake is. And for the fact that the Hurricanes signed him it's going to be a big move for the team moving forward. Getting him in is going to jumpstart the next young core with, they're hoping to get Alexander Nikishin after next season, and just being able to build around Seth Jarvis, Sebastian Aho, Andrei Svechnikov, just the team overall, and even Pyotr Kochetkov. Like, this team is going to be set up for their window, could be open for another 5, 6, 7 seasons with all these young guys coming up, and just the mix of the young veterans that they have, and even some of the older vets too. So it's a very exciting time if you're a Carolina Hurricanes fan. So before we wrap up the episode, if you want to get in touch with me, or if you want to get in touch with the podcast, you can find me on Twitter at OneCheerZach. That's OneCheerZach. Or if you want to check out the podcast, go to LO_Hurricanes on Twitter to check out any updates, or if you want to interact as well. Make sure in the comment section, let me know what your thoughts on Seth Jarvis getting his 30th goal, the Hurricanes getting their 50th win, and then the Jackson Blake signing. Let me know in the comments what you think of it. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, turn on the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any new episode that comes out. Make sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating and review on where you listen to your podcast. And if you leave a 5-star review, I just might read on the podcast. And for YouTube, the goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers. We're over 780. We're getting closer to the 800 range, but the goal is 1,000. And if we do hit 1,000 subscriptions on YouTube, we might just have to do a giveaway. So make sure to share with all Hurricanes fans that you know, so that way you and them become everydayers of the Locked On Hurricanes podcast. And if you want to check out my writing, make sure to go over to the hockeywriters.com, where I cover the Carolina Hurricanes as their beat writer. But until Friday, for the Friday edition of the podcast, I'm your host, Zach Martin. Thank you for checking out the Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. And as always, let's go Canes.